Test. client.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so that should give some background noise.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. 2 weeks. So it's the guy behind me. Yeah.
How was he?
And he's okay, but he stands like this far from the mic, so you can barely hear him. But he's okay.
Did Nick ask for a raise? Did he tell us what it cost for? What was the girl up there and just tell him it's this much?
I asked it, and I got a raise. I don't know what it is.
When did you get raised? Were you free before?
No.
Oh, no, $20 is
Yeah.
What did you ask for?
35.
Good.
I don't know about Nick, though. I haven't seen him. Got no idea. Yeah. He'll be here Sunday, I think. Hope. You're all good.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, you're all good.
All right.
So like if they went to 1, and then press OK, and then you press transition. Yeah, and that's it. You have to press on first, yeah, and then press OK, and then you'll see it there, and then transition. I'll see it there. Yeah, that's it. Pretty easy. And then you'll do the same if the away scores. And that's it. You're good. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And then I'll do the stipulation. Yeah, no worries. Yeah. So don't worry about that one.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Bradford West Golimbury Leisure Center for a Sunday night matchup between the Bradford Rattlers and the Ville Pirates. Both of these teams come into tonight's game off of a win as the Rattlers took down the Toronto Flyers 5-1 last night at the Paramount Ice Complex. Ville Pirates dominated the North York Renegades 7-2 at Camlin Ice Sports York. The goaltenders. Marc-Andre Caron turns to Mathieu Lucier after Maxime Odette dominated the Renegades offense last night. And the other end, after a strong showing by Cameron Werney, David Mooney turns to Patrick Cullen, who was also very dominant in their win over North York a week ago. We're underway. Rattlers are starting with Munitz and Arekov and that top line of Carlson, Dobretsky, and Mamedov. It's battle four in the nearer side. Gaudette. Oh, chance from a sharp angle. Carlson is stopped. Gaudette's out there along with Morin, Roussel, Bertrand, and Laverdure for Ville. Bertrand spins back with it in his own corner with Isaac Carlson all over him. Rattlers keep it in. Carlson sends it in there. And Gaudette, the big man, tried to spin off of Mamedov, but he gets bumped into, and now a battle ensues in the corner. Ville wins said battle, and Laverdure sends it all the way down. Icing is called, and our first whistle 51 seconds in. Yeah, this is definitely expected to be a big-time battle between two very strong North Division teams. A lot of new players on both sides, as the three-time defending champs are going to be put to their biggest test yet after they won their first two games over North York and Toronto. Rattlers are deploying their second line out. Meyerchick got tossed out of the face-off circle, so Koch will take his place. He's out there along with Plotnikov as it comes loose to the side of the net, and Plotnikov sent that one through the crease and wide. Down low, Koch sends it over the near side. One of the new players that the Rattlers have acquired, that is Borowski. Here's a chance in front, and that does not go for Koch. Dominikas Borowski out of Lithuania. Plotnikov in front, and that's tipped wide by Meyerchick. Over Koch gets spun off by the big man, Emmerich Gaudette. Laverdure lost an edge as he tried to clear it, so he tossed it back for Justin Morin, who flips it up to center ice. Nikita Hotko, the Belarus product. Koch one-touched it on to Plotnikov, who makes a move around Morin. Tried to drop it off. Koch with a shot. Kicked away by Lucier. And now Mathieu Bernard, who had a goal and 2 assists in last night's win over North York, dumped it in. Comes loose to the side of the net, and Brazo is stopped. Back in front again, and Bernard whiffed on it. Bernard just couldn't time it right. Now it's sent in deep again. Brazo and Hoffman do battle. Hoffman digs it out of there and finds Pavel Tuni. His second year with the Rattlers. Third in the GMHL. Spent some time in Durham before being picked up by the Rattlers. Now it comes to the near side. Brazo and Tuni tie each other up. Goes back to the line. Sarev dropped it off, and Simon Hoffman will send it through center off a skate. Sarev knocks it down. Finds Kopech, the Ashburn, Virginia product, on the left side, who dumps it in. Jacob Robert found Tristan Guimond, the Ville captain. Back of the line, Tuni sends it in front for a feed, and Kopech couldn't get that off to Sarev as that's broken up. Out of the far side, Rattlers hold it in. Here's Sarev creeping out in front, trying to drop it off, and that's broken up, and now the Pirates look to move up with numbers. Possible 3-on-2 developing. Mathieu Bernard, and over the line, got a backhander off, and that misses wide. Bounces back up to center ice. Ludovic Roy will drop it off for O'Rourke. He will look to move up. Listen, O'Rourke had his pocket picked by Carlson. Gotta watch out, he sneaks behind one man. Carlson with a shot, and that's gathered in by Mathieu Lucier. Well, Isaac Carlson is definitely one of the biggest reasons behind the continued success that the Rattlers have been having, and it seems like teams are finally starting to pick up on his game. Here's a chance in front, and Carlson slapped that wide. But he found a way to sneak around one D-man, but Ville Marie had 3 more D-men back there and only limited him to such a decent chance. Amadov is stopped by Lucier, and Dobretsky was looking for a rebound but didn't get it. Yeah, that top line back out there, Dobretsky and Mamadov playing with Carlson. And Lucier is definitely going to be having his hands full. As this is definitely going to be a big-time battle. Carlson with a shot. Another save is made by Lucier. Now it's dropped back for Gaudette. Comes back to the line for Roman Arekov. Makes a move around one man and shot one, and that's punched away by Lucier. Off to the near side, Isaac Carlson in front for Mamadov, and Lucier stops that as well. Rattlers are getting a ton of pucks on net here early on in this first. We approach the 4-minute mark. Behind the net, Mamadov banks it off the boards back to Munit's left point. Shoots one through a screen, that's blocked. Puck comes loose in front, and Dobretsky fanned on it. Now the Pirates get it up to center thanks to Loic Fortin. Now Ville Marie wants to get a change in as it's lobbed through the middle. Couldn't be knocked down by Gaudette. In comes Carlson, and that's shrugged aside by Lucier. Off the near side, Natan Svedal fresh off the bench as the Rattlers got a fresh skater out there. There's Carlson in front. That's broken up by Gaudette. He will send it up to center, and that's steered ahead by Guimond. Gets by Munitz and pursues it in the corner. Try from a sharp angle. That's off the side of the net. And back with this is Magomed Bashir Maisakov outletting Svedal, who gains entry into the attacking zone. Drives wide on Jolie and stops up. Sends it back to the line, and Hotco couldn't hold it. Goes all the way back down to Rattlers territory. Now here's the new guy, Borowski, giving it up, and shot is easily steered aside by Cullen. Banked off the boards to center. Guimond will lob it as far as the Rattler line. Boulanger off a steal, got a shot away, and that didn't really get on much. Back to the line, Millum. Off to Guimond, shoots one, and that's off the glove of Cullen. First big chance for Ville Marie. Back to the line, Millum again, trying to send it down low. Jolie gets tied up by Maisakov, who escapes the pressure and is flipped up to center and then knocked down by Guimond with a high stick. Faceoff's going to be in the Ville Marie zone. Well, Nikita Hotko is very grateful that Ville Marie didn't cash in on that chance that they had, because Boulanger had a really good look, but that shot didn't really have a lot on it, and it also went wide. But that last chance for Guimond looked really, really dangerous. That was the first big test for Patrick Cullen so far tonight. You can hear the official saying, "Watch your stick," as Plotnikov and Millum were going at it. Now we get a penalty as Koch is upended. Looks like the Rattlers are going to go to the power play. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be Tristan Guimond, the Ville Marie captain, heading off. As we approach the 6-minute mark of the first period, the Rattlers are going to go a man up and look to strike first in this game. Off the draw, O'Rourke. And Roussel gets on it. He will clear it immediately. Pulling out of his net, plays it aside for Matvei Munitz. That's away from Poirier, drops it off, and here comes Isaac Carlson. Off to the left for Mamadov and over the line. Gabriel Mamadov behind the net. Mamadov looking, back to the line for Munitz. Off to Carlson in front, and that's stopped by Lucier as Plotnikov had that opportunity. Now swatted back down to the Rattler zone again. That was a very nice tip by Plotnikov. Just couldn't get it to go. There's Matvei Munitz sending it in. Gaudette back on it, trying to clear the zone. Couldn't. Plotnikov held it in. Gaudette on a second effort banks it off the glass, and that'll go as far as the Rattler line. Isaac Carlson back ahead. Gets by Bernard and brings it in. Carlson a shot, and a great glove save is made by Mathieu Lucier. That sure was another great stop by Lucier. He's definitely going to be forced to make a ton more of those. Isaac Carlson got around Bernard, and again, it's that defense for Ville Marie that's got to keep it up and help out their goaltender. Borowski across. Here's Meyerchick trying to shoot one. That is blocked by Bernard. And the corner Koch plays it back to David Meyerchick. Orekov bumps it back to him. Saucer back to Orekov once more. Nearly lost it. And now the Pirates could have a shorthanded opportunity. Jacob Robert in all alone, and he hit the crossbar! My goodness, what a golden opportunity for Ville Marie shorthanded, but they could not cash in. Back ahead, it's steered down by Sergei Tsarev. Laverdure first back on it. Swung it around, but Borowski holds the zone and gets it down low. Tsarev sends it back to Orekov, and a drive is patted aside by Lucier. And now Orekov keeps it alive. But not for long. Ville Marie trying to clear the zone, couldn't. Tsarev held it in a second time. Pinballs to the front, and Koch couldn't knock it down. In the end, Ville Marie clears it, and that'll do it for the Rattlers power play. Ville Marie came very close to getting a short-handed goal, but Jacob Robert, who is the top scorer on Le Bécard de Santerre last season, hit the crossbar on that short-handed breakaway. And I gotta tell you, number 10 has definitely got to be shaking his head after he missed on that chance. Here's a shot that stopped. Juicy rebound, and Kopech couldn't get on. Mysagov, and that's broken up as well. Now back comes Jacob Robert, banks it off the boards around Borowski to himself. Robert feeds it in front, and that stop rebound is stopped as well on the follow-up chance for Bernard. Another drive is off the side of the net from Emerick Gaudette. Now he goes to the bench. A lot of tired Pirates out there as it's Mysagov shooting one. That misses high. Bounces to the near side. Kopech holds it in. Off to Mysagov. Try to drop it off for Kopech. That's broken up. Tristan Guimond tried to clear, could not. Goes over to the far side and still held in. Then Bertrand took a hard hit from Kopech to get it up to center, and it's blasted back in by the Rattlers. Just past 9 minutes into the first period, still no score between two North Division powerhouses, the Bradford Rattlers and Ville Marie Pirates. Eric Bertrand gave it up. Munitz couldn't clear. And that shot is steered aside by Cullen to the corner. Brazo tried to navigate his way through. That's banked off the glass to the line, and Willem trying to keep it in, but he couldn't. As Dobretsky forced it back up to center, and it stumped in. Matvei Munitz. Watched by Brazo. Pass nearly picked off, but it could not be held by Bertrand. Now Nicolas Millam, watched by Carlson. He had that stolen off him as it goes into the corner. Isaac Carlson tries to get away from traffic, spins away from Boulanger. Into the corner in front, and Dobretsky stopped. Juicy rebound, couldn't be handled cleanly by Munitz. He had a loss in his skates. Now it pops up into the air. Carlson knocks it down off to Mamedov. Skates it back to the line and whips it over to Hotko, and a shot is hauled in by Mathieu Lucier. Gotta tell you, Carlson is definitely one of those guys that kind of has that sixth sense. Just knocks that clearing attempt down out of the air and was able to create a couple of... Ooh, chance off the post from Plotnikov. But yeah, Carlson was able to generate a couple of really good chances off of that. Emerick Gaudette, big defenseman, flips it up to center away from Plotnikov. Hoffman back checked by a pair of Pirates. One of them is Cote Saint-Jean, who keeps it alive down low, feet in front, and that's poked away by Plotnikov. Now it's kept alive, but still in control by the Rattlers. Meyerchick sends it off a stick and back down to the Ville Marie line, where Justin Morin turns it over. Plotnikov off to Meyerchick, and that's off his stick. And in the corner, behind the net now. Plotnikov tried from a sharp angle. That bounces off of Gaudette, and then Meyerchick gets upended by Jolie. Now Olivier Joly yanks it off the boards up ahead. Chopping at it is Cote. And Koch gets up there with one of the Pirates as he maintains control and lobs it in from the red line as the Rattlers conduct a change. Mikhail Plotnikov in pursuit, along with Roy back there. Kopech on it as well as it comes around, and Pirates bank it off the boards. Boulanger couldn't get that one though. As Matej Munitz has control here for Bradford. Turned it over, but then he gives his man a bit of a shove. Bertrand into the middle. That's poked away. Svedolf forces it up to neutral ice. Sergei Tsarev spins back at his own line. Just over 8 minutes left in what is still a scoreless first. As this is flipped to center ice. Laverdure gave it away. Kopech sends it in. Lucier will let it go for Ludovic Roy. Now Yurick Bertrand to center ice. Here comes Roussel off to Laverdure. 2 goals last night in 7-2 victory over North York. Comes back to the line and it's forced up to center. Here comes Sergei Tsarev, 3 Pirates back. In over the line, he had that poked away from him. And play is whistled down, and what do we got? I think we might have a penalty coming up here. There was a whistle in the Ville Marie zone. It appeared as though it could also be a Rattlers offside, and because the face-off is outside the Ville Marie line, it looked like that was the case. It definitely could have looked like it was a failed keep by the Rattlers, but it certainly looks like that was the case because the face-off is outside the line. Willem for Guimond. He will lob it deep into the Rattlers zone. And because he wasn't ahead of the red line when he did, it's an icing. It definitely looked a little bit borderline, but he was just a tad behind that center line. So an offensive zone face-off here for the Rattlers with 7:12 left in the first. Millum. Down for Guimond, then up to center. Here comes Mathieu Bernard. Lobs it in deep. This time cleanly ahead of the red line. Bernard trying to center one. That's broken up by Dobretsky. Now he tried to knock it down, but it's still held in. Skates a stick Bernard. Gets bumped off there by Mamedov. And Borowski outlets Carlson through the middle off the stick as he was looking for Dobretsky. Dobretsky brings it back in. Gets around a man. And it goes into the corner. Dobretsky still on it. Up to Carlson and the other one in front, and that's swept away there. Now Carlson back to the line. Drops it off. Mamedov backhands it in there for Dobretsky in the far corner. Dobretsky looking, battling there with Robert. Mamedov gives him a bit of a shove as it's sent off the stick back to Borowski at the line. Borowski a shot, that's blocked in front. Cooper Brazo turned it right back over, and Mamedov trying to center one in front. That's knocked down. Dobretsky couldn't handle it, and neither could Carlson. The Pirates get a break as it's sent off a stick and back down. Just over 6 minutes left in the first, still no score. Bradford Rattlers and Ville Marie Pirates for those just tuning in. I'm Cliff Kirby standing in for Nick Stella. Firechick into the corner. Alexei Poirier battling with him. Firechick escapes the pressure, but turned it over to Felix Mercier. Trying to clear the zone, could not. On a second effort, he does. Vadim Berezin, former Toronto Flyer, drops it off. And Hoffman sends it up ahead. Steered ahead further by Plotnikov, and in comes Meyerchick. Has Koch going to the net. Dropped it off to him, and that's poked away by Godet. Nice play, batting it out of the air. Now for Tabrak, brings it back in quickly. That's blocked. Another chance is sent wide. As it bounces around to Meyerchick. Here come the Rattlers the other way quickly. Plotnikov in over the line with a shot, and that's off of Morin and wide. Now plays whistled down because the Pirates' net was knocked off. I definitely want to give a huge thank you to Bradford Rattlers organization for allowing me to stand in for Nick Stella for last week's game and tonight's game. I was very pleased to hear my voice here as it goes into the corner. Pavel Tooney and O'Rourke do battle. Ludovic Waugh tried to backhand it out to center ice. Tooney gave it up. Labrador couldn't clear it. Kopech sends it into the corner for Mysagov. Over to the far side, it's Pavel Tooney. Getting it down low, but Waugh first on it for Ville Marie. Trying to clear the zone, could not. Tooney keeps it in. Takes it behind the net. Tooney still trying to maintain control. Dropped it off there for Mysagov. Trying to play it back to the line, but Roussel tied him up. Forced a turnover, and it goes up to center. Chopped out head, but Orekov broke that up. Ville Marie was looking for a potential breakaway, possibly. Ulrich Bertrand chopped it up ahead. Lunitz knocks it down. And Orekov will be back on it here for Bradford. Couple ticks over, 4 minutes to go in the first period. Still zip between these two dangerous North Division teams. Here's Mamedov in the slot trying to shoot one. That's poked away. And now Guimond has control, and Pirates look to move up with numbers. Trying to drag it through Munitz. He gets shoved off the puck. Trying to drop it off. That's lost in the skates of the referee. Back to the line is kept by Bernard. On the other side, that's picked off by Mamedov. Banked off the boards to the line, and it's battled for. Brazo's in there, along with Orekov. Bernard in there too for Ville Marie as Pirates trying to hold the zone. It's still fought for, and Mamedov finally wins the battle and gets it up to center. Dumped back in quickly by Millam. Cullen plays it aside for Roman Orekov. Orekov looks to start a Rattlers rush. That's picked off and blasted back in by Guimond. Now Matvei Munitz in control with 3 minutes to go in the first. Long pass up ahead, out of the reach of Plotnikov, and it goes all the way down for an icing on the Rattlers. And for those wondering, one notable rule in the GMHL regarding icings, if you saw a Rattler ahead of the Pirates player in the race, it's not like the, let's say, the OHL or the pros, where it doesn't really matter if it's a race to the dot or not. If you ice it, you ice it. And that's what happened there. We got another stoppage. 2:44 left in the first. It looks like it was iced again by the Rattlers. Well, actually, it was waved off at first, but another one of the officials still called it an icing, and because of that, the face-off was at center ice. That's what happens when there's a little bit of miscommunication. Oh boy, there's a shot after the whistle from Guimond. And that's a little bit surprising. I definitely expected at least one of the Rattlers to get into Guimond's face after taking the shot after the whistle, because that's kind of one of the unwritten rules in the game of hockey. But not in this instance. Plotnikov got hauled down by Boulanger. Rattlers want to call, but they're not going to get it. 2:18 left in the first. As Boravsky sent it up ahead. Sarev got double teamed. Plotnikov gets it right back and brings it in over the line. Plotnikov trying to drop it off, and that's swept away by Jolie. Back to the line, kept by Boravsky. He shoots one, and Lucier gobbles that up for a whistle. The Rattlers were definitely looking for a penalty on Boulanger after one of the Rattlers got hauled down at the Ville Marie line. But the Pirates caught a little bit of a break. 2:03 to go strength. Face off in the Ville Marie zone. Off the draw, it comes back to the line, and Berezin couldn't hold it. So he has to go back to the Rattlers line. Play it aside, and it's sent up ahead by Hoffman, knocked down by Tooney and sent in. Wilson Morin first back on it. Sends it around, and Oleg Fortin battling with Svedolf. Svedolf gets knocked down, and Pirates trying to clear the zone, but they couldn't. Kept aligned by Berezin. Off the Sarev in front, and that's poked away by Mercier. And it's swept up to center ice. Vadim Berezin over for Hoffman, who sends it in. Chased after by Morin. Sarev after it as well. Battle ensues in the corner. Tooney and Gaudette are in there as it's kicked up to center by Mercier. Hoffman turned it over, and unfortunately for Ville Marie, they go offside with a minute and 11 to go. That's the second time now that Ville Marie brought it in on a very obvious offside. I mean, they are doing well in keeping up with the speed of the Rattlers, and this is definitely shaping up to be the big battle that I had expected it to be going into this game, as you see another Ville Marie offside. But that's definitely one thing that is going to be on the mind of Marc-André Caron during the upcoming intermission. Jacob Robert couldn't love it down as the Rattlers get it up to center. Munitz ahead for Carlson. Spinorama move by Mamedov, trying to get a backhander off in front, and Carlson just barely missed that, and then he gets drilled by Gaudette. Penalty that the Rattlers wanted but didn't get. Now Jacob Robert gets knocked down to the ice, and he's a little bit shaken up. Munitz gave Morin a bit of a shove, and this crowd here in this whole arena has just gone very silent, very suddenly. 33 seconds remaining in the first as Ville Marie trainer is looking at Jacob Robert, who's down on the ice. It's not a good sight at all. No way. Jacob Robert was acquired before this season began from Sanitaire, where he was their top scorer. And Robert is being helped up to his skates finally. Oh my, there was some blood that was dripping down from him. Oh, word. Oh, yikes. Definitely hope that Jacob Robert is going to be okay after all this, because that is not. That's a very unpleasant sight. All of that blood on the ice. Quickly from that. There's definitely a lot of physicality in the events that led up to that, and despite all of this, the Rattlers are going to remain at even strength. There is not going to be any penalty on the Rattlers for that. Yeah, that that hit definitely looked a little bit extreme, but it's just more so the way that Robert went down that drew a lot of concern from the Ville Marie Pirates side. Arakov with a shot, that misses wide. 15 seconds to go in the first. Emmerich Godet just looking to buy some time. There's a bump back to Roussel. It's brought in onside. And it's turned over. Carlson with 4 seconds to go ahead for Mamadov. He shoots one. That's shrugged aside by Lucier. And the horn sounds to signal the end of the first period. Both teams got some really good chances. Oh, now you got Carlson getting into it with Morin after the horn, but he's quickly told off by the officials. Pretty strong showing from both sides, but no goals have been scored yet. At the end of the first period, it's no score. welcome back to the Bradford West Glenbury Leisure Center for the second period. Tonight's matchup, Bradford Rattlers and Ville Pirates scoreless through 1. The Rattlers definitely had a little bit more high-quality chances, but Ville doing their best to hold their own. But as I said during the intermission, or going into the intermission, they definitely got to be a lot more mindful offensively, and we know that because Rattlers are very dangerous, and they can be too. So, look out, Carlson gets on a loose puck, drops it off in front, and Mamedov had that go off of Millam into the corner. There's it, Carlson battling with Laverdure. This is off to the side. Laverdure couldn't hold it. Mamedov off for Carlson, and Lucier stops that. Off the line by Dobretsky. He sends that one off of Roussel. In the corner, Millam banks it off the glass. And up to center. Laverdure brings it in, toe dragging a shot, and Cullen shrugs that aside, and it goes out of play. Laverdure had 2 goals in a very dominant win by Ville over the North York Renegades. And looking very close. Oh, Bernard with a shot. That just barely misses wide on the left. Oh, Bertrand gave it up to Koch. Meyercheck couldn't clear it. Gaudette tried to set up Bernard for a one-timer. That's just out of his reach. Now Bernard in front, and that's broken up by Meyercheck. Now ahead comes Plotnikov. Gaudette ties him up, and that's going to be a penalty. The call is holding. So a minute and 24 seconds into the second period, the Bradford Rattlers are going to go on the power play. Yeah, definitely was a play that drew the attention of the officials. And I think Gaudette tied his man up for a good couple seconds and got close to the arm up. Rattlers to the power play. There's Munitz left point. Off to Mamedov near side. Shoots one off the side of the net. Now it's worked down low. Here's Plotnikov behind the net. Off to Carlson far side. Carlson side of the net. Plotnikov in front. They play goal. And the Bradford Rattlers strike first. Well, Adam Dobretsky off a quick give and go in front. Had a ton of room in the slot area, and he just blasted that by Maxime Lucier. And finally, the first goal of the game is scored by Bradford. I'll let you hear this. Here's Wong with a shot off the post. Very close call there. Plotnikov and Carlson get the assists. Behind the net, Tooney. Off for Tsarev. Spinning away from Mercier. Behind the net, Kopech in front. That's broken up by Cote Saint-Jean. Now the Pirates look to move up with numbers, but Cote found a breakout pass, and that allows Tsarev to come back in. Here for Ville, trying to clear the zone. They could not, somehow kept in by Berezin. Not for very long though, as it's brought back the other way by Roussel and over the line. Roussel tried to drag it through, but it rolls in on Cullen, and that results in a stoppage. Laverdure off the draw. That shot's blocked. Robert Koch will take a hit to make the pass in front. Comes back to Munitz. That shot's blocked. Now it's back in front. Mizagov is stopped. Point blank range by Lucier. That's a big stop. Now back comes Poirier. That's broken up by Arekov, and that forces the play offside. Off outside the line. Obrechky gets control, drops it off for Arekov, and then moves. Up the middle, carried in by Dobrechky, has Carlson go to the net, got it to him, and a backhander is off the side of the net. What a chance that was, but the big Swede couldn't finish. Back to the line for Munitz. That's away from Poirier, pass is picked off, and forced to center by Guimond, the Pirates captain. He lost his stick as it's fed up ahead to Munitz. Carlson left it off. Obrechky. Right for Carlson in the corner. In front for Mamedov. He fires one, and that's stopped and held onto by Lucier. I think we could be getting a penalty here. Looks like roughing is called on Gabriel Mamedov. 16:08 to go in the second period. Ville Pirates have a chance to draw right back even. It's a great time for them to do it. Not let the Rattlers get up to their usual tactic of wearing their opponents down. This is a great chance for them. They might as well do everything they can in their power to capitalize. There's a chance in front, and Brazo couldn't get that one to go. Back to the line, here's the big man, Godet. Gets away from Koch, gets it down low for Bernard, far side. Bernard with a shot, and that's gloved by Cullen. Yeah, it didn't look like Bernard got a lot on that wrister. And that could be something that players could learn about Patrick Cullen, is you got to have a really good shot and a really good hard shot to beat him. There's Laverdure sending it in deep. Brazo after it along with Mercier. Mercier tied up by Munitz, still trying to maintain possession. Munitz tied him up. Carlson also looking to help his man out. Still fought for along the end boards. Nobody's got possession here. Finally, it's dug out by Laverdure and sent back to the line for Godet. Left point. Lines up and drives. That's knocked down in front. And Carlson will pick it up and flip it up through center. Godet, the big man, gloves it down. Obrechky stole it, trying to find Carlson for a short-handed chance. And he gets tied up. Now he gets back on it and finds Obrechky. Makes the toe drive move back in front for Carlson, and the net is inadvertently knocked off, but Pirates maintain possession despite that. That prevents a whistle from going. Bernard able to stay on side. He lost it to Carlson, who has a short-handed breakaway in all alone, and he had his stick poked away. Nice work by Godet. Had it poked off him after a stick lift. Great work by Godet defensively. That could have been disastrous for Ville. Here comes Bernard into the corner. Dobrechky checked that. Arekov tied him up, and Sultan cleared it down. 20 seconds left in the penalty on Mamedov. Godet back on it here. Escapes the back-checking pressure of Meyerchick. Now Pirates look to start one last rush on this power play. Bertrand brought it in. It's quickly knocked off in the center, and that's going to do it for the penalty. Now Mamedov out of the box, chasing after Sept. There's a turnover. Mamedov goes to barge his way through, trying to drop it off Meyerchick for Koch. Both back to the line. Here's a shot that's blocked from Borowski. Another spinning shot is sent wide by Mamedov. Now back up to center, Nikita Hotko up ahead. Steered down by Mamedov, who's been out there for a while. It's Sent up ahead, Roussel through the middle. Finding Alexis Poirier in over the line. Poirier with a shot. That's stopped and held onto by Cullen. Well, now that Ville Marie is down by 1, that definitely appears to be a bit of a wake-up call for the Pirates, as they're definitely looking to get a lot more shots on net now. I mean, again, it's that offense that really needs to click for, I mean, not just Ville Marie, a lot of other teams too. I mean, throughout last season, Rattlers, well, there's a chance in front. Kopech couldn't pull the trigger there. But yeah, as far as last season was concerned, the Rattlers definitely had a big target on their back. A lot of teams try to stop them from winning 3 in a row, and they still did. And because of that, Ville Marie, Wasaga, West Nip have all got a lot more offensive talent. Looking to take them down. Rattlers' chances foiled, and then you got Sarev getting into Guimon's face, but nothing further. But that just comes to show just how strong of an organization the Bradford Rattlers are. And time and time again, they get a lot of really good, talented players from all over the world coming over here. And even though a lot of players have come and gone, aged out, or advanced to higher levels, which is what this league is for, really. The Rattlers have continued to find a lot of success. Into the corner, it's controlled by Mercier. Trying to drop it off, and Fortin gets on it here in the corner. Tried from a sharp angle off the outside of the post, and a scramble for it there. Comes loose into the slot, and Mamedov gets that out of harm's way and skates it up through center. Possible 2-on-1 developing. Backhanded in front, and Lucier makes a stop on Dobretsky. Now Isaac Carlson tries to keep it alive. That's poked off him to center. Gabriel Mamedov drops it off for Vadim Berezin, and then he gets a return. Now Hoffman still in his own zone, steered up ahead by Koch. Icing waved off somehow. I think it might have caught a pirate on the way down. Emery tries to clear the zone. Pavel tries to keep it alive. Raw tries to clear it, couldn't. Cut by Arekov. Wants to move in and got a shot away. That caught the stick of Brazo and went wide. Now Tristan Orlock to the middle, finding Ludovic Waugh. Off to the right side, Brazo is tied up by Tooney. Sends it all the way back down to the Pirates line. Quickly fed back ahead, Godet. Lobs it into an open corner. Chasing after it is Brazo in front, and that's off the skate of Bernard. Now Koch sends it off a stick to center ice. Willem turned it over. Got in by Pavel Tooney. Trying to force his way through. Godet dropped it off, and a Rattler is down. There's going to be a penalty, and Mizagov goes after one of the Pirates, presumably the one that knocked Koch down, and we got ourselves a little bit of a war here. We got Tooney getting some shoves from Millum, and one could only imagine what'll come out of this. I couldn't point out exactly who nailed Oliver Koch. I think it might have been Millum. And you got Mizagov who went after him. Pavel Tooney also got involved. And he's going to the box as well. And Koch was helped to the bench by the trainer. Bernard is also going for Ville Marie. But that was a huge hit. It looks like Millum's done. He's on the bench. Actually, it could be just Bernard. I mean, Millum was sent to the penalty box. And the officials are taking their sweet time. Sorting out the penalties. It appears that it's going to be Bernard and Mysagov. I believe a pair of majors on those two. Then you got Pavel Tuni getting a 2-minute. So despite all of that, it is going to be a power play for Ville Marie. And you also got Roussel and Munitz giving each other some shoves, and that forces Roussel to be called in to take the draw, and the Rattlers win it. And Rekov will send it down. Yeah, I couldn't really tell who exactly nailed Oliver Koch. By the look of things, it could have been Bernard, because Millum was originally sent to the box, but then he went off to the bench, and I couldn't tell at the moment if he went down the tunnel or not. Carlson knocks down one of the Pirates. Arm goes up here. There's Laverdure. And now Gaudette lost it. Here's a shorthanded breakaway for Dobretsky all alone, and he's stopped by Lucier. That's a big stop there. Pirates still in the power play. And a big time denial by Mathieu Lucier prevents them from going down 2-0. However, Durr played it back to the line. Gaudette couldn't hold it. Goes back down to Lucier, who will put it on a tee for Guimond. 55 seconds left in the penalty on Pavel Tuni. And it's off a steal, sends it up ahead, Meyerchick. And that's stolen by Mercier. Takes a hard hit, and Mamadov set that off a skate. Kept alive here. Attack, however, turned it over. That allows Mamadov to clear it down. 28 seconds left in the power play. There's a bit of a issue with the clock, but it was still running. That can happen here at the BWG sometimes. Razzo turned it over, and Rekov will flip it back down to the Pirates line again. Fortin wisely got it away from Meyerchick. Now a quick feed and a drop off, and in comes Guimond into the slot with a shot, and that's covered aside by Cullen. Rattlers clear it down, and that's going to do it for the Pirates power play. Oliver Koch back out there. Good to see that he's okay after taking that hit. Now he gets upended again. Looks like Mercier got a load of him. Now a shot misses high from Starev. Back of the line, Borowski. Rattlers looking to get back to work. Borowski with a shot. That's punched away by Lucier. Off to the far side, Koch sends it back down low. Off to the near side, Berezin and Poirier chase after it. Off to the far side it goes. O'Rourke couldn't clear it. Kept by Borowski at the left point once more. Borowski waits, fires. Blocker save is made by Lucier. Now Oliver Koch behind the net. Plotnikov lets it go for Tsarev. He's tied up. And now the Pirates look to get it up to center. Couldn't. Tsarev keeps it moving. In front for Plotnikov, and that's poked away from him by O'Rourke, who sends it back down. Won't go far enough for icing. Borowski has it back. Just under 8 minutes left in the second period. 1-0 for the Bradford Rattlers, thanks to a power play tally from Adam Dobretsky. Here comes Olivier Joly. Able to stay on side here. Shot went off a stick and high. It was that of Hotko. Goes to the near corner, Joly, and Kopech chase after it. Off to the far side it goes. Tsarev will sweep it up to center ice. Bounce off the skate of the linesman, and Millum was still out there. So it was presumably, it had to have been Bernard if that was the case regarding that hit on Oliver Koch earlier. Meanwhile, it's brought in by Joly. Knocks it down, trying to spin away from traffic, but Plotnikov quickly got on him, and Kopech will outlet Tsarev. Back to Kopech and over the line. They play catch. Sarev battling for it down low. Godette, the big man, involved as well, as is Olivier Joly. But he's got possession here. Sarev gets on it finally in the corner, centered in front. Boulanger knocked that away. He will send it through center off the stick of Fortin. And now Munitz turned it over. Boulanger has it go a little too far for him, and Hotko tries to tie him up, but he escapes the pressure. Banked off the boards, but Svetov picked that off before Godette could get on it. Now Millam sent it up ahead, and it steered down the rest of the way. Ville being warned under the late offside. As Millam back on it at his own line, finding Victoire. Munitz had that stolen off him. It's brought in by Fortin. He's flipped up to center ice. And Millam will skate it back up ahead. It's double teamed by Mamedov and Munitz, the latter of whom flips it up to center ice. And Fortin sends it back in. It bounces up to center once more. Mercier turn it back over. Munitz bats off the body as well. Then Munitz had a stick knocked out of his hands. Rattlers do not get the call there. Back of the line, Guimont tries to keep it moving. Drops it off to Mercier after having that go off his stick. Then Mamedov tried to low bridge him. That's going to be a penalty. As soon as the Rattlers touch it, try from a sharp angle, bounces in front, and Collins got it for the whistle, and then afterwards get some more pushing and shoving as Hotko's in there. But it certainly looks like Gabriel Mamedov is going to go to the penalty box. Well, the Ville Marie Pirates were definitely buzzing. They were all over the place on that last shift after Mamedov tried to get low on one of the Pirates, and that drew the arm up. With 5:27 left in the second, it's a power play for Ville Marie once again. Here's Bernard, top of the right circle, dropping it off for a feed to Labrador. He shoots one, that's blocked by Carlson. Now Emmerich Godette spins away from Boravsky. Trying to drop it off, and here's Millam in front, and Brazo fanned on it. And it bounces up to center as a result. Well, Ville Marie has been getting their fair share of chances. In comes Laverdure, finding Godette left side. Pirates look to get their power play formation set up. There's Laverdure in a high slot. That's off a couple sticks. Rattlers try to get on it. Brazo from a sharp angle, that's broken up. Brazo gets on it again here in the corner. Brazo down low for Bernard behind the net. Plays it back to the line for Laverdure, off to Godette. Winds up, slap pass in front, and that's tipped right on, and Cullen made the stop. Now Bernard in the corner once more. Looks to get away from Carlson, feeds it back to Godette. Winds up and drives, knocked down in front. Rebound, this stop. Another chance is off the side, and then the follow-up, they score! Ville Marie had 3 whacks at it, and finally the third time is the charm for Felix Mercier, who gets a power play goal to tie it up for Ville Marie. It's 1-1. Well, that was a very hard-working power play shift by everyone who was on the ice there for Ville Marie. I mean, Bernard was all over the place. Laverdure was everywhere. And as that shot came through from the high slot, it pinballed off a bunch of bodies in front. And as a result, Cullen was out of position, and Ville Marie had 3 whacks at a loose puck in front, and the third one was finally deposited in by Felix Mercier, and Ville Marie's able to tie it up. They aren't saying who got the assists for that. There's a possibility that it could have been in possession of the Rattlers before Mercier got on it and tucked it in. But either way, Ville Marie will take it nonetheless, as they found a way to draw even here in the late stages of the second. Rattlers have numbers on this rush, though. Here's Plotnikov on the right side. Backhand's one in front, and getting a piece of it is Lucier. Now Plotnikov again gave it away to Millam behind the net, and he will flip it up out of play for a stoppage. Draw Carlson stopped by Lucy. There's going to be a penalty coming up on Ville Marie as Carlson was drilled. Just now getting back up to his feet. So it looks like it's going to be Alexis Poirier heading off. Definitely a big no-no. Carlson got caught in a vulnerable position and he got drilled. And Poirier goes off, and it's going to be a power play for the Rattlers as they look to regain the lead. Carlson sent that off a stick and wide. Chopped at by Millam, and he will get the clear. Matvei Munitz dropping it off for Isaac Carlson. Looks to start a rush, drops it off for Matvei Munitz. Carries it through the middle, shifts to the right and sends it in on the backhand. Battle for behind the net by Bertrand. Another Pirate in there, as are 3 Rattlers. Trying to jar that puck loose. Off to the near side, it comes to Dobrechki. Looks for space, then drops it off for Mamedov. Bertrand on him as it's dished down low. Here's Plotnikov's side of the net. Back to the line for Munitz. Pump fake, feed over to Mamedov, right circle. Shot just barely missed wide. Bounces to the far side for Isaac Carlson. He and Munitz trade places. As it's fed over to Mamedov near side. Spun down low for Plotnikov behind the net. In front for Dobrechki, and that's fought off by Lucier. Now it's loose behind the net. Plotnikov off to the far hash marks for Carlson. Munitz looking for the pass, doesn't get it. Now he does. Knocks it down on his backhand and feeds it off to Mamedov, who shoots one save. Rebound is sent up over top of the net by Dobrechki. Tough break there for the Rattlers. 32 seconds left in their power play. As Carlson gets it away from traffic to Munitz, who sends it down low for Plotnikov in the corner. He's tied up by Guimond. Dug out of there by Dobrechki, but turned over. And Bernard will skate it up ahead, looking to kill off the final 20 seconds of this Rattler power play. He turned it over, and here comes Carlson with a ton of speed and over the line. Carlson drags it around a man, takes it in behind the net. Arekov fresh off the bench looking for the pass. Instead it goes down low for Tsarev. Tsarev back to the line for Arekov. Penalty's done. Minute 20 to go in the second. End of the slot, Moravsky off to Carlson, who fires one. That's off the stick of Godetten wide. Back on it is Laverdure, and he will flip it up to center ice. So a big PK for Ville Marie as Moravsky is on it. Newly acquired D-man out of Lithuania. Minute to go in the second period as it's sent in by the Rattlers. They weren't over center when they did. And icing is called on them with 55 seconds left. Mercier in a take a draw, lost it, and Arekov tried to clear his own. Godet made a nice kick play to keep it in, but on the second effort, Rattlers got it out, and Fortin lobbed it back in there. Arekov, give and go for Oliver Koch. Drops it off, and O'Rourke stole that. O'Rourke looking to feed it in the slot, but Meyerchick read that and took it away. Now feed up ahead, and here comes Tsarev in on a breakaway. Sergei Tsarev is stopped by Lucier. Another big-time denial by the Pirates netminder on another breakaway. Yeah, there's a chance for Mamedov and now Tsarev. I don't know, it was Dobrechki, yeah, number 8, that had that other chance. I gotta tell you, Mathieu Lucier has been phenomenal throughout this game so far. As both these teams head off to their respective dressing rooms as the second period comes to a close. Both teams trade power play goals. The Rattlers got one from Adam Dobreschke before the Ville Marie Pirates responded, courtesy of Felix Mercier. So that's going to do it for the second after 40 minutes. It's tied at 1. Hello and welcome back to the Bradford West Limbury Leisure Center for the third period of tonight's matchup. Bradford Rattlers and Ville Pirates tied at 1. We're just going to get right into this thing. This is definitely expected to be a big, entertaining, heart-stopping third period between two North Division powerhouses. It's lobbed in by Dobretsky. Emmerich Godet, the big man, back on it. Limbury looking to get the first big opportunity. Both teams were scoreless going into the second before trading a power play goal from each side. Adam Dobretsky for Bradford. And Felix Mercier for Ville. Matvey Munitz turned it over. Rakov bailed him out but couldn't clear. Barrier sent that off a stick to center ice, and Mamedov goes one-on-one on Guimond. Mamedov with a shot, that's punched away by Lucier. Now into the slot, Laverdure takes that away and flips it back down to the Rattler zone. Isaac Carlson makes a move around Roussel and carries it ahead into the attacking zone. Drops it off for Dobretsky. He shoots one, that misses wide. Rebound off the boards, and Carlson sent that one off the paddle of Lucier, it appeared. Very close chance for last year's top scorer for the Bradford Rattlers. Rakov tries to keep it alive. Mamedov off to Carlson. Carlson with a shot, and a great glove save is made by Lucier. The Rattlers also looking to get some good looks early on in this third, as one thing is for sure, the next goal is definitely going to be a huge one. This is definitely going to be a game that could very well shape out the early stages of the North Division and the power rankings that are sure to come. As these two teams are just going to go at it all third period long. Next goal is for sure going to be big. Work ahead for Brazo. Now was 4-1 with Guimond. Let's send it in. Pavel Tooney back on it. Launched by Bernard. That's away from him. And trying to poke it away from Bertrand. That's knocked away from him as well. Pavel Tooney gets it down the rest of the way. Emmerich Godet. Bounce it around for Bernard. Backhanded to center. Borowski knocked the stick out of the hands of Bertrand. Now Fortaz back on it, with Tooney watching him. Set up ahead. Here's Ludovic Roy. Has a man up to the left. That's Godet, who takes the pass and sends it in the rest of the way. Cullen guides it off to the corner for Plotnikov to get back on. And it's sent up ahead. Hoffman drops it off for Oliver Koch to carry ahead. Drops it off to Hoffman. He lost a handle on that. And it's swatted to the line, but not out. Koch held it in momentarily before it's went to center on a second effort. Then it's gloved up ahead. Mercier won't be able to take the pass because it would have been a hand pass if he did. And the Rattlers got possession and flipped it up to center ice. Emmerich Godet. Head up the right side for Fortin. Gets away from Kopech and starts a rush. Brings it in. Fortin with a shot. That misses wide on the right. Bounces to the near side. And Mizagov upends Mercier. Back of the line, it's kept by Fortin, who shoots one, and that's patted away by Cullen. Far side, Fortin gets bumped into by Kopech. Sarah back on it. Drops it off to the near side. Trying to keep it moving, but unable to as Guimond. Helps him out, and then gets a load of Mizagov in the process as it's sent back in, but back ahead. There's an outlet, Sarev, who carries it in. Sarev in front, and that's knocked away from Kopech on a nice play by Guimond. Now Jacob Boulanger is tied up by Mizagov, trying to force a turnover. Kopech trying to feed it up ahead, and the play is whistled down. It looks like we got a penalty on the Rattlers. Yeah, Kopech's going to go serve this one. Couldn't tell who exactly it was that got knocked down. There was a bit of a collision at center away from the play. And serve it, and you can definitely hear the Ville Marie bench getting really fired up as they look to take the lead for the first time in this game. Gaudette with a drive. That's stopped by Cullen. Belmont Munitz backhands it up ahead. That's off the glove of Dobretsky. So he was looking to potentially get a shorthanded chance, but now Gaudette ties him up. Dropped off to Laverdure. Lost his skates for a moment, but recovered. Now the Pirates look to start a rush. Laverdure drops it off to Brazo. Moves off to the left, then back to the middle, then gets spun off. Mercier gets on it. Ooh, and then Carlson drills him. And then he stole it off of Laverdure. Chips it off the boards to himself. Rattlers looking for a shorthanded chance. Carlson sent that one off the stick of Gaudette and out of play. And Isaac Carlson is as complete of a player as you can possibly get for the GMHL. It's a really good shot, score a lot of goals, passing. But one thing that's often overlooked about Isaac Carlson is, of course, his defensive abilities, and the play that he made to generate that chance is a glaring example of that. I mean, his hand-eye coordination is truly one of a kind. The way he can knock pucks out of the air and actually find ways to generate scoring chances. That's one thing about his game that is overlooked quite a lot and has been throughout his time here with the Bradford Rattlers. He's definitely a very big offensive threat, yes, but his defensive abilities and his ability to use his big frame to make those plays. Here's a breakaway for Mamedov, and getting a piece of it is Lucier. Another dangerous chance, shorthanded. 10 seconds left in the Ville Marie power play, which they haven't really been able to get much out of. Here's a chance for Gaudette, though, and that's blocked away by Cullen. Now Bernard gets it off to Gaudette, side of the net. Penalty's over. Chance in front, and that does not go for Bernard. Back to 5-on-5, still deadlocked 1-1. 13:45 left in the third. Marekov sends it over to the far side. Bertrand ties up with Plotnikov. Bertrand tried to keep it alive, but Plotnikov stayed with it and now skates it up the center. Peels back and gets Poirier to go down as it's fed up ahead. Munitz had that poked away from him by Fortin, who makes a move. Gains the red line and dumps it in. Roman Arekov back on it. Outlets Plotnikov right side. Has a ton of room to run. Backhands one in front. Arekov sent that one through the crease and out the other side. Just barely missed. Now he gets on it again. Back to the line. Meyerchick fanned on it. Now it's spun in front and broken up by Fortin. And now Ville Marie looks to move up. Instead it's just dumped in. As Ville Marie was looking to catch a little bit of a breather after that scare. Back to the line. Here's a drive that missed wide from Guimont. Ville Marie captain out there. Now Kopech sends it to the line. Couldn't be held by Guimont. He has to go back to center for it. Now he gets on it and backhands it deep. Roman Arekov drops it off for his D partner Munitz, who turns it over behind the net. Jolie overskated it, however. And that allows the Rattlers to get right back on it, and Isaac Carlson will flip it up to center ice. Knocked down by Sarev. Bumped off to Dobretsky, who makes a move and goes in, and he rang it off the crossbar! My goodness, he made an unbelievable move to get around Millum. Here he is again, and he's stopped by Lucier. Unbelievable pressure. Here's a shot by Hotko, that's stopped. Juicy rebound, Dobretsky, and he is stopped again by Lucier. Unbelievable pressure that the Rattlers put on that shift, and they do not cash in. My, oh my. Yeah, that chance that Dobretsky just had definitely deserves a double take. The move that he made around Nicolas Millum, and then he tried to get Lucier to bite, and he did. It definitely had potential to go to the back of the net. but he rang it off of the bar, who remained tied. My goodness. There's a feed in front by Roussel. That's broken up by Hotcoat. Kept alive by Laverdure. He had that stolen by Tooney. Ville gets back on it at center after it's stolen, but Moravsky set it back up ahead. Pavel Tooney gave that away, and Roussel will drop it off for Gaudette. Up ahead, here comes William Roussel and over the line, drops it off. Laverdure with a toe drag and a shot. That's blocked by Boravsky. Gaudette gets on it and sends it right back in deep. Roussel sent that off a body to Laverdure, and he's stopped. Rebound looked like it could have been batted out of the air by Poirier with a high stick, but it doesn't get called. Ville still putting on a bit of pressure here. Backhander sent wide from Poirier. Now Boravsky sends it around, and Pavel Tooney will send it back down to the Ville zone. A really good chance for Laverdure. He had 2 goals last night. Here's Millen with a shot. That's stopped by Cullen. Now it bounces back to the line. Wide drive. Cullen smothers that as well, and the whistle goes. Both teams getting a ton of great chances. Stuff that you love to see. And this is definitely the type of game that many people really enjoy watching. It's just your typical good old let's just go at it with 2 great teams. Here comes Kopech, drops it off to Plotnikov, who shoots one, and that's punched aside by Lucier. Now Berezin down low. Kopech back to him, and a drive is fanned on. Bounces off the end boards to Plotnikov in the corner. Plotnikov back to Berezin middle point. He shoots one, that's off a body and wide. And behind the net it goes. Meyerchick battles for it. That pinballed off the referee, and it's carried up to center by Mercier as a result. Makes a move around a couple Rattlers to gain entry. Back foot wrister, that's broken up by Kopech. Couldn't clear though. On the second effort, he finds Meyerchick, who sends it back down to the Ville zone. Sent up ahead, off the stick of Hoffman, sent through the middle, too far out of Mamedov's reach. Then it's banked off the boards, back down to the Rattler zone. Just past the halfway mark of the third. Still even 1-1. Long stretch pass off the stick of Carlson. Chased after by him and O'Rourke, and then Carlson gets tied up there. A high stick is going to be called on O'Rourke. He definitely got his lumber a little too elevated there, and that caught Carlson up high, and because of that, it's going to be a power play for the Rattlers. They look to retake the lead. 9:30 left in the third. Off the draw, comes back to Munitz right point as their power play formation gets set up. Then off to Mamedov, side of the net, Plotnikov. Trying to bank it in off the goalie, but that's off a body in front instead. Now back to Munitz, bumped off to Mamedov, who shoots one. That's not rebound, couldn't be corralled by Plotnikov. And in the corner, Plotnikov on it again. Other corner, it's Carlson. Carlson looking, side of the net, Plotnikov backhander, and the Rattlers say it went in, but the referee is signaling that Lucier had held onto it. Just heard the announcement calling the ice is no goal. Very lucky break there for Ville. Now the whistle had gone in. Some of the Rattlers had raised their hands in the air before it, or after it crossed the line. There's a shot by Mamedov, and Lucier gets a hold of that. Yeah, it looked like it was held in the paraphernalia of Lucier, and the whistle went, and then it trickled in, and the Rattlers raised their arms up in the air, but because the whistle had already went, that means it's no goal. We remain tied 1-1. 8:40 to go in the third. Minute 10 left in the penalty on O'Rourke as Mamedov sends it in. Gaudette on it. Couldn't get a handle on it, but it still bounced up to center. Now in comes Adam Dobretsky, makes a move, finds Plotnikov, who pulls in, trying to get a backhander off, and that's poked away from him by Gaudette. Now Plotnikov on it again. Carlson to drive, and that's blockered away by Lucier. That's a big stop there. Big booming blast from Isaac Carlson. That was picked up and cleared all the way down by Gaudette. 35 seconds left in the man advantage for the Rattlers. Limon lost in his skates, and that allows Carlson to pick it up. And he was forced offside and had to double back as a result. Now back in the Rattler zone, it's Matvei Munitz. 15 seconds left in the power play. David Meyerchick outlets Moravsky, trying to make a move around Guimond, and he was drilled by the Ville Marie captain. And then the Pirates clear it down, and that will do it for the Rattler power play. Still even 1-1. 7:24 left in the third. Pass ahead is broken up by Guimond. Meyerchick gets back on it and finds Sarev, who brings it in. Sarev moves off to the slot and fanned on it. Now he tried to play it back to Hotko, and he couldn't range over to keep it in time. Then he turned it over. Mercier had to wait for a teammate to tag back up, and so he had to dump it in as a result. Now Oliver Koch, product of Germany, knocks it off to the Lithuanian Boravsky. He shoots one, that's off of Lauren and wide, and now play is whistled down. What do we got? Yeah, there's a loose object on the ice all the way back down in the Rattler zone that belonged to Nikita Hotko. So he's going to go to the bench. Something that came loose from him. He went back to pick it up. Face off in the Ville Marie zone. It's whipped around the boards all the way down. No icing because Hoffman was already in the vicinity. Swatted at by Berezin. Isakov on it. Watch out a backhand in the front. That's broken up by Hoffman. Isakov gives his man a bit of a rough ride as it's loose at center. Emmerich Gaudette down on the breakout pass. Svedolf almost got on that. Pirates were able to maintain control, and it's fed up ahead to Mercier. That's knocked away from him by Hotko, banked off the glass to center by Kopech. Gaudette up ahead. He's tied up by Svedolf as it's set in. Just over 6 minutes left in the third period of what has been a very entertaining game since the start here at the Bradford Wesco Injury Leisure Center. Big collision behind the net as Gaudette absolutely drilled. Is that Hoffman? Yeah, number 22. The puck went out of play right after. Stay off the tracks because the 5 train is coming through. Emmerich Gaudette is definitely looking to make his presence felt throughout the North Division and the entire GMHL for that matter. Because of his big frame, he absolutely steamrolled him. Into the corner it goes. Mamedov tried to clear it down, and he did. Chasing back after it is Tristan Guimond, Ville Marie captain. Now quick feed up, and here comes Laverdure through center and over the line. Laverdure tried to drop it off, but Orekov stole that, and Carlson steered it down. It's ruled no icing. Not entirely sure why, but it comes loose behind the Ville Marie net. Laverdure will toss it back for Guimond. Carlson gets on and centers one in front, and Dobretsky sent that one wide. Back to the right point for Orekov. Get it down low. That's stolen by Roussel. Carlson gives him a bit of a bump as it comes loose to the corner for Mamedov. Battling there with Laverdure, comes loose, and Orekov shot that one. That's tipped wide by Dobretsky. Dobretsky gets on it again. Rattlers putting on some pressure here. A shot misses high, bounces off the back of the net. Carlson picks it up and finds Mamedov in the corner. Back to Munitz and drive. Pad save is made by Lucier. Now it bounces up into the air, into the corner. Battle for there. Roussel gets on it, trying to clear the zone, could not. O'Rourke peels away from Carlson, and now he finds Poirier at center. He gets tied up by Nunes and he'll dump it in, and that allows Ville Marie to get a much-needed change. French 5 skaters out there as Bernard and Brazo are out there. Two guys you really want to watch out for Ville Marie. Rattlers, though, looking to keep putting on that pressure. Sarev turned it over, though. And out come the Pirates through center. T. Bernard. Plotnikov on him, shot that, and Cohen steered that aside. Inside 4 to go. In the third, Plotnikov brings it in. Plotnikov trying to make a move. Backhands one through the crease and out the other side. Bounces back to Borowski. Trying to backhand that one in front. Didn't work, so he gets on it, and Koch sends it over to Hotko. That shot's blocked. Now here come the Pirates the other way. T. Bernard lost that on a poke by Sarev as it goes into the corner. Sarev gets on it, trying to clear the zone, could not. Nolan lost it to Plotnikov. Gaudette trying to get back, and two more Pirates do. Plotnikov a shot, and that's off a body and wide. Very textbook play defensively for Ville Marie. That could have been a very dangerous breakaway chance for Plotnikov, and again it's the big number 5, Emerick Gaudette, making it happen. There he is in the corner, try from a sharp angle. Cohen stops that, and we get a holding penalty that's coming up here. It looks like it is going to be Oliver Koch that's going to go serve this for the Rattlers, so a very big power play coming up for Ville Marie as Oliver Koch will go to the box. It appears as though that Marc-André Caron had called a timeout, and that's exactly the case, as this is definitely going to be the most crucial and critical power play that the Ville Marie Pirates have had all game. This comes in a tie game, 1-1, 3:02 left in the third, and it's a really great time for them to draw up a plan of attack, and it's going to be only a matter of time until we find out if that strategy works out for Ville Marie. Their bench gets fired up. Gaudette with a drive. That's steered wide by Bernard. Brazo gets on it here in the corner. Gaudette looking to direct traffic as it comes to Laverdure. Then Gaudette here again. And Laverdure in the high slot. Shot tip right on, and Cohen's got it. As it looks like Bernard got that redirect in front. So it seems like Ville Marie is looking to work it from the point with Gaudette and Laverdure, with 3 guys close to the net, flanking all sides of it, in front, left, and right. Gaudette at the point, shoots that one, that's tip, rebound, score! Laverdure, power play goal with 2:35 to go in the third. The Ville Marie Pirates have taken a 2-1 lead. Well, that is huge. Mathis Laverdure had scored 2 goals last night in a dominant 7-2 win over the North York Renegades, and here he cashes in on the power play. Here's a chance in front again, and that's sent wide. Broken stick from Poirier. Goes to the bench to get a new piece of lumber, and now all of a sudden the pressure is on the Rattlers. They trail by 1, 2:15 to go in the third. Battle for in the corner. That loose broken stick is there still, but Sarev turned it over. Poirier with a shot, that misses wide. 2 minutes to go. Rattlers in need of 1. It's dumped in by Laverdure. This is Plotnikov back in the Rattlers zone. Gets away from Brazo, skates it through the middle and in over the line. Then he lost it. And Ville Marie looks to move back up, possible 2-on-2. Mercier with a shot. That's sticked up and out of play by Cullen with 1:36. No timeout was called by David Mooney. They're going to let it go for now. Here comes Mamadov in all alone, and he's stopped by Lucier. Rebound for Carlson, and that's backhanded wide. Puck comes loose in front again. It's sent over to Brazo, tried to clear the zone. Lucier got knocked down, but he gets right back up as it's flipped up to center. Empty net awaiting, but it's swept away by Munitz. It is officially crunch time for the Rattlers. 6 attackers against 5 with 1:08. Montvain Munitz. Mamadov in front. That's poked away by Bernard with 1:01. Set down toward the empty net. It'll roll wide. And an icing is called on Ville Marie with 57.3. Is David Mooney going to call a timeout here? Yes, he will, says the referee. But what a game we have had here at the BWG. It was scoreless after 1. And in the second period, both teams traded power play goals. Dobretsky got the first goal for Bradford before Ville Marie responded thanks to Felix Mercier. And then, with just about 2.5 minutes left in the third, another power play goal for Ville Marie. Mathieu Laverdure put Ville Marie in this position. And there's all kinds of pressure on the Bradford Rattlers. Both sides are getting real rowdy now. 6 attackers against 5. Orekov, Munitz, Carlson, Dobretsky, and Mamadov, with Plotnikov as the extra man. Both centers had gotten waved out, as it's going to be Plotnikov taking the draw. Off the tie-up, it goes to the corner. Dobretsky's on it here. Swatted to the side of the net, that's broken up. Mercier battles for it in the corner with 47. 3 Rattlers flanking there in the corner, trying to jar that puck loose. Still battled for with 39. Dug out of there and sent back to the line for Orekov. Whipped over to Munitz with 35. A shot is blocked in front. Munitz gets on it again. Side of the net. Carlson in behind, trying to bank it off the goalie. Comes loose to the far side. Mamadov gets on it with 25. Mamadov to Munitz near side. Ooh, shot one. That's off a stick. And out of play with 20.3. Well, time is really ticking down now for the Rattlers. As Montvain Munitz had the lane, but a great block in front. Everyone's getting real fired up now. Dobretsky, tie up off a draw. Godet tried to force it up to center, couldn't though. Dobretsky held it in. Shot to the front. Carlson is stopped. Rebound is loose and it's sent out the other side. 9 seconds to go. Swatted back to the line. Orekov with 6. Drive is blocked in front. Picked up by Godet. Swatted up to center. And the Ville Marie Pirates have taken down the Rattlers by a score of 2-1. Man, what a game. Both sides battled as hard as they could. And look at what it means to the Ville Marie Pirates coming in here, battling their hearts out, taking down the 3-time defending champions in a very entertaining, heart-stopping matchup. Unbelievable game from start to finish. I knew it was going to be a battle, and boy, oh boy, was it ever a big one. So as both teams depart, here are the 3 stars of the game. Number 3 star, I'm going to give it to Felix Mercier. He got a power play goal to kickstart the Ville Marie Pirates scoring efforts. Number 2 star, Mathieu Lucier, was absolutely phenomenal in goal and made a ton of impressive key saves all throughout this game and backstop Ville Marie to a big victory. And the number 1 star, with what turned out to be the game winner late in the third on the power play, Mathieu Laverdure. What a game he's had as well. So that's going to do it from the BWG Leisure Center. This is Cliff Kirby standing in for Nick Stella. The final score, Ville Marie Pirates 2, Bradford Rattlers 1. This is Cliff Kirby saying thank you all so much for watching. So long and good night.